Els presento el conferenciant, a qui de seguida dono la benvinguda, és el senyor Martin Kalab, que farà justament aquesta conferència de Cloenda del Congrés International Mobility 2022. Martin Kalab porta gairebé 20 anys treballant per al transport públic al Wiener Linien, a Viena, Àustria, en diferents llocs de responsabilitat de l'àrea de màrqueting. Actualment promou l'aplicació mòbil de l'entitat, la Vienna mòbil, el bike sharing, car sharing i totes les activitats de venda de la Wiener Linien. També és president del comitè de màrqueting i membre de la junta directiva de la UITP, la Unió Internacional del Transport Públic. Mr. Kalab, welcome. The stage is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's a great honor to be here in this beautiful city of Sitges. Today I'm here in two persons. One person is as a representative of UITP. This is this worldwide organization and association for public transport with 1,900 members in more than 100 different countries. It's representing public transport, authorities, operators, industry, and also other organizations that support public transport. But first of all, I start with Vienna, which is my city where I work. It's the number 5 city in European Union with a bit over 1.9 million inhabitants. And the city is organized, the public transport, very similar to Barcelona. So the city is owning the operator. And we as an operator, we own everything. We own the infrastructure, we own the trains, the buses. The personnel is directly employed with us. We make the timetables, we make the information, we make the marketing, which is my job to do in the company. And to give you some numbers, we have a very huge network, and for Austrian terms, we are even a super huge company. And just out of these numbers, I would mention that we are still the 5th biggest tramway city in the world, which has some good historic reasons, because at that time when it was very popular to kick out the tramway lines, like in the 50s, 60s, 70s, the Austrians were too conservative. Then they said, okay, that the metro extension is too slow, so we have to keep the tramway still for some years. So, and finally, we're very happy that we still have the tramway, which is nowadays a very modern, very efficient, and very appreciated way of public transport. So finally, 85% of our transport in the city is done in a full electric way. And electric is also an important word, because the strategic approach of Wiener Linien is also to really support the sustainable way of transport. And also the city is very much supporting us, because our goal is not anymore to maximize public transport usage, but also to maximize sustainable transport. And I will tell you the figures later on. And one success story in Vienna is the number of annual passes. I told you the city has 1.9 million people, and we nowadays have around 1.1 million people holding permanent passes. This is students, this is children. Children, they get a pass for quite cheap money for the whole region and also the surrounding region, so that they really get used to use public transport and they don't think, shall I use this or that way of transport? It should be really normal to use public transport. And also for sure we have the annual passes, which are this base of our ticket holders. And this helped us a lot during the pandemic, because we had very few cancellations of these tickets. So even if we were transporting very few people on the transport, or they were allowed to ride with us, we still had the income of these tickets. And what is also an important strategic goal given by the city is to reduce the number of cars. And as you see, compared to the annual ticket and pass holders, the number of cars is increasing every year. And I remember when I joined the company some 20 years ago, it looks completely the opposite. And even the annual ticket holder was much, much less. And this leads me to the satisfaction of the customers. I told about the pandemic. We were still making the transport for the people, but when we had the full lockdown, it was only for the people who were working in hospitals and in doctors and very few industries who were allowed to go to work. And especially in this time, we even gained more satisfied users. So all the green bars together, it's the people who rate our service with good or very good. And you see the people who rate it with very bad, it's sometimes between 1 or 2%, but this is a quite good mark for us. And from 1 to 6, in average, they rate us 1.6 as a service we do for the people. And here's the modal split compared to the different years. 2019 was the pre-pandemic year. So the big difference is that in COVID times, the public transport was losing a lot, like in all the other cities, because the main reason was the people didn't go to work, or they didn't go to school, or much less. And also the distances reduced, so they only made shorter trips and shorter distances. And this is what we see that what we lost for public transport rides was gaining by foot passengers. So the car stayed more or less constant with 26% of all trips, but the passenger share was rising a lot. And this also, I come back to the goal I previously said. The goal we get by the city of Vienna is to get a sustainable transport share of 80%. That means public transport plus bicycle plus walking should be 80%. And this should be done by reducing the car trip. And now we are about 74% of eco-friendly trips. So we are really approaching this target. And what is very important for a city is to have a strategy. And the strategy should be nowadays that we reduce the space for the cars and we give more space in the city for the people. This is there's a lot of discussion about it, especially the district mayors. They don't want to give up their parking spaces, but on the long run, there's really no alternative to this. And in Vienna, you really see it when you visit Vienna, that in the evening when the opera is finishing or when the theaters are finishing, you see a lot of people in nice dresses and suits and the ladies in dresses. They flood into the public transport, into the metro and into the tramway, and they go home. So in Vienna is really a standard for all levels of income to use public transport, and this is, apart from the numbers, this is really a good success for us. I want to show you the numbers of the transport we have. So we are now about 80 to 90% compared to the pre-pandemic transport. And the point is, not all of this transport will come back, because there's the home office, and also a lot of businesses they stayed with the teleconference, and also in educational sector like universities, they do more and more classes online. So not all of this is coming back, but on the other hand, the city is growing, and in 2, 3, 4 years we will reach the 2 millions, and just by the network extension we will reach the numbers of passengers that we had pre-pandemic. And to compare, I'll show you the Barcelona numbers, which are a little bit lower, but not much lower. And you see it's also like slowly coming back. And this, for instance, these charts, they are taken from the UITP library, where we have collected, I think it's 53 different cities, and we give weekly updates about the passenger numbers to have this learning base, what to do in pandemic and which measures to take. And also the question was, after pandemic, what can we learn out of it? I mean, first of all, we learned, and all the people saw it, and you saw it even in these satisfaction numbers, that people realized how important the public transport is, even if it's not, cannot be used in this moment by themselves, but they see that a lot of other important services can only work if their staff is coming by public transport to work. And also that public transport is a vulnerable service. We have a lot of close social contact, which means the people are together in a closed space. So for the infection, this is really not, this can really be a danger for our transport systems. And also the third point is that the public transport sector doesn't always get the appreciation it should. I can say in Vienna we are in this fortunate situation that the city has a very long, for long decades, a good support of public transport. And this is also the reason why we have these satisfaction numbers. That's why we have these high numbers of annual passes. And this is also why the people see it as a standard to use public transport and not always thinking, shall I take the car, shall I take the public transport? They just go. They have the annual pass in their pocket. They don't have to show it when they enter. They don't show it when they go out. So it got really a standard way of transport. And the important trends are really the urbanization. So more and more people move into the cities. So the networks have to grow and the cities are growing. So this is really something that we have to consider when we think about, is it a good time to invest? Is it a good time to put money into public transport? The point is that it takes a lot of time to start up a public transport system or to boost it. It goes very quickly to shut it down, but to run it up, it takes a long time. And I think it's very important to think about if this is really a good strategy. I show you some examples of advertising we did in Vienna during the time when only system-relevant passengers were allowed in the transport. So we had to show the people, you pay your annual ticket and you cannot ride. Why should you do it? So we were showing the people, yes, you do it maybe not for you, but maybe you are in this situation that you need a hospital or medical care, and then you will be happy that this staff that is treating you was able to come by public transport. And this was also the same like for supermarket, for bakeries, for pharmacies, and also for doctors. Because for us it was a very difficult moment when we saw that what is our position in this society. We cannot do anything for the people. We cannot do the job that we are normally paid for. So we said, okay, we at least can support these relevant functions to keep on working. And this table I made during the first COVID wave to show a little bit what is the situation, also especially for communication in the public transport sector. Because in the beginning, pre-pandemic, I thought we had this really big momentum. We were saving the world, we were fighting the climate change, and during the COVID, this was really taken away from us because the communication was done by the authorities. They were closing down the systems. They were putting them up. They were allowing the passengers to go. They were not. We were completely losing control of our own systems, and this is a situation we didn't really like very much. And later, when it was, the people got used to the systems, got used to it, I called it settled COVID. So the uncertainty was still there, but we tried to live with it. We made our posters, we informed the staff, we made the staff measures, we could really react. We were not completely swimming in this getting the information sometimes out of the media, what works in us. So we were more thinking about in this settled COVID stage, how long will this closure take, how long will these measures take, and how will we finance our systems if the passenger income will be reduced. And then I was thinking, there must be also this post-COVID stage, which I didn't know at that time. And in this state, the public transport sector is proud to be part of the solution. We are again joyful and happy, and we have a strong position because nowadays, especially after these crazy summers, and it was the same in Austria, and it was the same partly all over Europe, that you had also here in Spain and in Catalonia, that the summer were very dry, very hot, and really the people felt this climate change. And now again, we as public transport sectors, we are again part of this solution, and this gives us really this momentum back that we had pre-COVID. So what are the communication principles? It's very important that each city has their own like culture, their local habits, and you cannot take just one strategy from one city which you think, this was very good, I just copy it from my own city. This will not work because the people, they have different history, they have different expectations, and also each company and each operator has different strengths and weaknesses, and the communication strategy always has to consider this. Yeah, what are the principles in communication? First of all, it was very important that during the COVID time, all studies or all like relevant studies that we said that the public transport is a safe system. But this is a rational message. But the people, they had fear, and fear is an emotion, so you cannot combat an emotion with a rational message. So you need strong messages, but in an emotional way, which I showed you before. It's about people who look confident. This gives much more information than giving 5 lines of info that 70 or 97% is safe and all these like rational messages. This has a space in a PR and in the editorials, but not really in the advertising campaigns. So what was very important for us, if we show stuff, then they should be self-confident and happy and show the people, yes, you're welcome, you can come with us, you are safe. And what was very interesting in my company, during this lockdown, we were presenting new uniforms, which showed really the self-confidence, because if a company makes such a strategic change of changing uniforms in a pandemic, if they think they will survive it, we can go with them. So we as passengers, we can trust them that they think about the future, that they have this good planning, and they care for us. And the second important, which is a standard, is operations. It should be like really professional, because when you have a professional company and not every time delayed or train breakdown, then you trust them. And then you trust them also in other spheres. And the third is also a standard for our job. This is a picture from TMB. It's the cleaning and disinfection, but not only that you do it, but you also show that you do it. And because when you do it only in the non-operational hours, the people somehow they don't feel that you do it, even if everything looks clean. So sometimes you have to show it that the cleaning is done, and the people see it. Somehow they see it on videos, or they see it really in the everyday time. And yes, about communication I was talking already. And now I want to show you my favorite example of communication. It was done from the colleagues in ATM in Milano during the first pandemic full lockdown. And it shows you how you can make emotions about the public transport topic. So, could you please start it? Yes, thank you.
Tornare a vedere la mia città, ascoltarla come per la prima volta, sentire il suo respiro, una voce dietro una finestra. Tutto questo silenzio, un vuoto da riempire. Ma chi ce la fa a riempirlo? Chi saluta, chi applaude, chi grida. Come a raggiungere quel posto dove non posso più andare. Dov'erano i clacson, il passo svelto, il cellulare fra orecchio e spalla, la mostrina triennale, il tramezzino all'aperto. Mi mancava la mia città. C'è un suono però che non è mai sparito, che prima si confondeva nella confusione. Ha galleggiato nel silenzio, come una musica amica, che quando mi raggiunge sa riportarmi a casa. È il suono che ci ha tenuto ancorati alla realtà, che ci ha fatto dire sì, ne usciremo. Il 14, la 90, la 56, la rossa. E pensavo, mentre tutte le porte della città si chiudevano, le loro continuavano a rimanere aperte, per svolgere il loro servizio, come sempre. Quelle donne, quegli uomini, restavano lì, al loro posto, ognuno pronto a dare il suo contributo, a metterci il massimo impegno. E pensavo ai medici, agli infermieri, alla cassiera del mio super e a tutti gli altri che grazie a loro potevano andare al lavoro ogni giorno. E penso a tutto ciò che ci sta dietro alla ripartenza e che se dovrò dare una mano anch'io, beh, a me sta bene. Anche se ci metterò un po' di più perché tutti insieme non ci stiamo, anche se a volte mi posso arrabbiare, alla fine a me manca viaggiare. Ed è quando tutto cambia che capiamo quello che davamo per scontato. Quegli sguardi rubati, quei viaggi che ora sanno di vita. E il gesto più semplice può diventare il più rivoluzionario. Che la libertà di muoverci è tornare là dove ci sentiamo più al sicuro. La libertà di tornare a casa, un passo alla volta, insieme, in sicurezza.
What you see is that the ATM was showing you like safety measures, but you didn't feel like in an information video. And so for me, this is really one of the best examples to combine this message that you want that the people feel safe and that they know that you care for them. And I think this is really a good example for this communication strategy. So the next slide, yeah. But to come back, is the COVID I think is a problem that we learn to live with. It's sometimes we know there will be the measures again, and we know how to react. And then there is also the problems with the energy prices, which is a very huge problem, and you discussed it here in this forum. But the real big problem that is behind, and this will work with us for much longer time, is the climate change. And as I said before, the summers will not get colder in the future, so we as public transport, we are again part of the solution and not part of the problem. And what is the sector needing? I was saying it before, we need investments, we need cities and countries and budgets that really believe in the future and the significance of our public transport. We need solid funding, not for 1 year, 2 years, not for a political period. We need it sometimes for 10, 15, 20 years, which is not very easy for a politician to spend the money in 1 year, and maybe he will not see the final result in his own period. But we need these investments on the long run. Otherwise, we cannot make sustainable systems. And also, the investment is it has a very good return. We have the numbers from Barcelona that each euro invested brings 6.5 euro for the society. You have returns. Imagine that each transport trip is 10 minutes longer than it actually is. Calculate this for the whole city, what it means in waste of salary if everybody is 10 minutes late in his way to work or in way to school. So this is money that you don't really see, but this is money that the people miss if we don't do a good job. And the people have a need for social interaction, so even if the home office reduces their trips to work, but finally they have this need to be with other people, so they will make more leisure trips. So the public transport is needed, and also the trips will go back again to a previous level. But we have to change our marketing. So, and also we have to change our expectations. It will be less this classical peak hour travel. It will be more travel during the day and more travel on the weekends. But what do the passenger needs? And if we read this list, it's exactly the same that they needed also pre-pandemic. It's just providing them a good, reliable service with few disruptions, and also giving them, in case of disruptions, a good information and not letting them alone with the problems of being late to an important meeting. And as I said before, this loyalty that is created by this ongoing professional service and good job that you do, this leads to a loyalty, and this loyalty you need in bad times. As I said before, we have around 1 million annual pass holders, together with the other tickets, of long-term tickets, and we only had 10% of cancellation, which is very, very low, considering that for 3 months, partly 4 months, the people were not allowed to go with us. So, but they were trusting us that we do a good job, and then we come back as soon as possible. So, and I give you other examples of campaigns which don't look like really public transport campaigns. The one you see in the upper right corner is this is 2 supporters of these local football clubs in Vienna. So it's about being together, like even if we have different opinions. So we also have a social job to do. And on the left-hand side, you see this is about global change, climate change, which is also a topic that we have to challenge as people, even if we're not in the full center of these activities. And the next problem we see at the moment is getting enough staff, especially for the driving. And here I show you one example from Budapest, from our colleagues from BKW. And they made this campaign to show the appreciation to their employees, and that they reduce the fluctuation of the staff, and also that the staff is a good advertising for other people to join the public transport company as an employee. And finally, I would like to invite you, not very far from here, in next June, in 23, the UITP and the local partners in Barcelona, they're organizing the Global Transport Summit with the topic Bright Light of the City. And it's the biggest public transport conference with a very big trade show also, and it's very close to you, so you're very much invited. Thank you very much, and I think we have time for one or two questions. Okay. So, okay. Can we have questions from the auditorium?
There's no questions.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kalab, for this presentation and for sharing your experience with us. Thank you so much.
Okay.